Good morning everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to another very hot day in southern Thailand. I mentioned that one day last week it was very pleasant in the morning. It was only around 29 degrees. Well, by the afternoon it got very hot and it's been hot ever since. This current heat wave just seems to go on and on and on. Now this video is speculation upon my part. Please let me know if I'm right or wrong in the comments. But I've been doing some walk around videos and I'm not getting any questions, and I can only think of two situations where I wouldn't ask any questions. And the first is if I know everything completely, so there's no need to ask any questions. And the second is if I know nothing and I know so little that it's impossible to formulate a question. And somehow I suspect the latter reason is probably why I'm not getting any questions. Now, these walk around videos are not for complete beginners learning Thai. They're quite basic level, but they're not for complete beginners. The idea is that people have gone through my tutorials, which are for beginners. And once they've been through all the tutorials and understand them, the walk around videos are just to get some practice in the real world. Now, when I was teaching English in Thailand, I used to get new students and ask them what they wanted to do. And they wanted to do conversation. They weren't interested in vocabulary, weren't interested in grammar because they did that at school and it's really boring. They just want conversation. Now, what do you need for conversation? You need words, let's call them vocabulary, and you need to put the words in the right order to form the sentences. Let's call that grammar. So you can't just bypass the basics and get straight onto the good stuff. I also had a guy who worked in the offshore industry. There are natural gas reserves in the Gulf of Thailand, and there's some oil as well, and there's quite a big offshore industry in Songkhla. And I had a guy who was working in industry. He came along and he was working with a lot of Americans, probably from Texas, and he just wanted to be able to speak to his colleagues, but didn't want to learn vocabulary, didn't want to learn grammar, just wanted to speak to them. I thought, well, how am I going to teach this guy? And you can't say no because you're working for someone, it's their business, and they want as much customers they can get. So you got to try, but it's really impossible. So what I thought I'd do in this video, I'd just take one line from a menu last week, and then go through it the same way that I went through my tutorials for complete beginners. If you can follow this, and this is the sort of thing that you can understand, then what I would advise is going back through those tutorials that I did. They're quite comprehensive. Ask me any questions that you things about you don't understand. And then once you understand all the basics, then try the walk around videos again. But there's no saying don't try to run before you can walk. And from the comments I get, there's obviously some people who can read quite well. But I think there's quite a few people in Thailand who would love to go out and be able to read signs, read menus, but they don't want to go through the boring basics. They just want to go, onto the good stuff. But you can't do it. You need to do the basics first. So that's what I'm going to do today. Just one line of the menu at a very, very basic level. Okay, I've picked out this line of the menu. So let's start. The first word here is the Thai word for rice. And where you see at the front is this character called Ko Kai. And in the past, Thailand had 5 consonants that make a K sound. Now 2 are obsolete. These two at the end that you just never see. You're only going to see these maybe if you pick up a very old book, Korkom and Korkua, but you're not going to see them. This one here, I think this is Korkon, looks a bit like Tao, another consonant, but the loop goes the other way. So the line sort of runs off the loop the other way in Tao. These three at the start aren't obsolete, they are used, but the third one is only used very, very rarely. And on all the videos I've been doing recently, we just haven't seen this one. It's called Ko Rakang, that means bell. That's a K sound, but you very rarely see it. The first two you see a lot, an awful lot, so you need to remember them. And the only difference is that the Ko Kai is a high class consonant, and you need to know the class for tone purposes, and Ko Kwai, buffalo, is low class. But you definitely need to know those two consonants. So we've got Ko Kai as the initial consonant. Then we've got the Sara A vowel, which on its own makes a long R. And at the end we've got the Wan consonant. That's a final consonant, and that's a W sound. And when you see the Sara A and the Wan, it makes like a long owl. There's also a short owl, but this is the long owl. So when we take the initial consonant K and then put on the long owl, we get cow. Now, you will know that Thai is a tonal language, so you need to know the right tone. So if you look up the tone rules, and I've done several tutorials on the tone rules, and I also produced a little cheat card, and on one of my previous videos, and I've given a link where you can download this yourself. So I've printed it, and then I've got it laminated, and I've just made it the right size to keep in my wallet. So when I'm walking around, if I'm not sure about a tone, I can look at my tone rules. I would advise you to do the same. So the Ko Kai is a high class consonant, and we've got the second tone mark, and you'll see from the tone rules that makes a falling tone. So the idea is to put energy into the beginning of the word and then let it drop off. So cow with a falling tone is a Thai word for rice. Right, second word. Now you'll see a character that looks a bit like an English W, and there are a few of those in Thai. So if we go down here, if the first stroke and the last stroke are the same height, that makes a P sound as an initial consonant. And if the last stroke is taller than the first stroke, it makes an F sound. That's all you need to remember with these W-shaped consonants. And when the little loop is inside, on this one and this one, it's high class. And if it's on the outside, it's low class. That's all you need to remember. So when you look at this, you can see that the two strokes are the same height, so it's a P consonant. The little loop is inside, so it's high class. So we've just got a P initial consonant. This vowel, which is written above, called Mahanagat, makes like a U sound, although the transliteration always turns it into an A. It's not really, it's like a U. And this character here is called Dordek, and a very important concept with Thai is that many consonants have a different sound depending on whether they're initial or final consonants. Now, as an initial consonant, that makes a D sound. As a final consonant, it makes an unreleased T sound. So when you see transliteration that's got a final consonant as a D, you know it's wrong, because in Thai, there's no final consonant that makes a D sound. That character always makes an unreleased T sound. So we get a basic sound like put, put, and that means like stir-fried. And I'll just go through the tone rules, and I might need to check this on my reference. So it's a high class initial consonant. We know that because of the loops inside. And when we say put, we can't continue that sound. I think in linguistics it's known as a glottal stop. It just like stops in your throat. So it's not a live syllable. It's a dead syllable. And this vowel is short. So if we look up the tone rule for a high class initial consonant, a dead syllable, and a short vowel, we get a low tone. So put. So it's cow, which is falling, and put, which is low. And that means fried rice. Next word is this one, which means pig in Thai. I've explained several times now that really that Thai should write mu, which is like pig meat, pork, but they just write mu, which is pig. So what we've got here are two consonants and a vowel. Now, that first consonant is just for tone purposes. It's an H consonant and then an M consonant. But the H is silent. We don't voice it. And the only reason it's there is to make this word have a high class initial consonant. Okay, so the basic sound is this character ma, which makes an M sound, and the long oo. And for all vowels in Thai, there's a short and a long vowel, and this is the long oo as opposed to the short u. So the basic sound is mu, and because it's got this consonant, which is higher class, the sound we can keep voicing mu, so it's live. Okay. If that whole heap wasn't there, the initial consonant will be more ma, which is low class. Now, a low class initial consonant and a live syllable will give us a mid tone. But actually, we want a rising tone. So we put the whole heap there. It doesn't change the basic sound, but it makes the word have a high class initial consonant, and a high class initial consonant with that oo, which is a live syllable, gives us a rising tone. So it's mu. It means pig, or in this context, it means pork. Next word is this one, and it sort of means sort of mixed or a variety of. So this fried rice you can have with pork or chicken, and if you ask for ruam, you get pork and chicken, maybe something else. They just give you a mixture of things. Now this is an example of where a Thai consonant can be used as a vowel. So the war wan in the middle, it's actually a W consonant. You will see words that begin with that consonant. Also, what another annoying thing about transliteration is that a lot of words that start with that war wan are transliterated into V, words and consonants, and the V sound just doesn't exist in Thai. When I was teaching, my students couldn't pronounce V properly, so I had to teach them how to put their top teeth on their bottom lip. Sorry, put their teeth on their lip to make the right sound. So when you see things like sukhumvit, it's really sukhumvit. So as an initial consonant, it's a W sound. When it's used in between consonants, as it is here, it makes an ua sound. So it's a consonant that can be used as a vowel, ua. The initial consonant, which you see a lot in Thailand, is called ro rua. That makes an R sound as an initial consonant, but it makes an N sound as a final consonant, which is a bit confusing. So like the word for food, ahan, the final consonant is the rorua, but it makes an N sound. So the initial consonant is R, and then the final consonant is ma again, which we saw in the previous word, which makes an M sound. And that keeps the same sound regardless of whether it's an initial or final consonant, so it's still an M. So we've got an R initial consonant, an M final consonant, and an UA in the middle. And it just makes the sound ruam, ruam. The tone, if I try to continue voicing ruam, ruam, I can. So it's a live syllable. And a live syllable with a low class initial consonant just gives me a mid tone. Next word is this one, which I didn't know, I had to look up. It's this pickled pork sausage meat. And once again, the hoar heap, the H consonant in this word, is only there for tone purposes, just as it was in the word for pig, moo. So what it's there for is to give the word a high class initial consonant, but it doesn't actually make a sound. Okay, now at the front of the word we've got a vowel, and as you can see with Thai vowels, in this word, pat, the vowel was written above. In mu, the vowel was written below. And in this word, the vowel is written before the consonant. It sounds confusing, but it doesn't just, change of its own accord. They're always, the vowels are always written in the same place, and you soon get used to it. And this vowel makes an air sound. So we've got an initial consonant which is nonu, which is N, and the final consonant is the ma again, which we've seen in the previous two words, which makes an M. So we've got an N initial consonant, an M final consonant, and our vowel is air. So the basic sound will be like nam, nam. Now the tone, I can continue voicing it, nam. Okay, so it's a live syllable, and because of this hoar heap, the word has got a high class initial consonant. And a live syllable with a high class initial consonant has a rising tone, same as mu. So this should be pronounced something like nam. You have to excuse my pronunciation. Even though I know the tones of Thai words, it's still very difficult to get the pronunciation right. Next word is this one. And once again, this vowel is written before the consonant. And there are two vowels that have exactly the same sound. I've written them below. So one has got a little squiggly bit on the top, and the other one's got a loop. Now, although they're exactly the same, the one with the loop is only used in around 20 words, so you don't see it too often. But the other one you see quite a lot, and it makes an I sound. So it's written before the consonant, but the sound is after the consonant. And then the consonant, there's only an initial consonant. There's no final consonant in this word. This one is called gogai. It's the first consonant in the first letter in the Thai alphabet. And transliteration will always use a K. There are kind of reasons for that, but I don't like it. It makes like a hard G sound, like the type of sound you get in gate or gorilla or goal, that sound. So we've got that G initial consonant sound and then the I vowel. So the basic sound is guy. Now, tone rules, that gogai is a mid class consonant, and we use the first tone mark, and that gives us a low tone. So guy, get down as low as you can, guy, and that means chicken. Final word, this one, and it's got 2 syllables. So the first syllable, we've got the tahan consonant, which is another very common consonant. It makes a T sound. And then we've got this short up. Now, this vowel and the vowel in pat makes the same sound, but you use this one above the initial consonant when there is a final consonant, and you use this one when there's no final consonant. So all there is an initial consonant and the vowel, so you use this version. So that makes a ta. And the tone, if I voice ta and then try to continue voicing it, I can't. So it's a dead syllable, and this consonant is low class. So the tone rule actually tells me it's got a higher tone. So ta ta, and then the second syllable we've got sara a. And the thing you need to watch out for with this sara a is that it's used in conjunction with several other vowels for vowel combinations. So whenever you see this, you need to sort of scan to the right a little bit to see that there's no other vowels it's used in conjunction with. When it's on its own, it makes like an A sound. And this letter here is called lorling, and it makes an L sound as an initial consonant, but it makes an N sound as a final consonant. And this is why, like, if I think of a central department store, it's an English word, central, and Thais have transliterated it, but they've tried to keep the original spelling. So whereas central has got an L as the final consonant in English, when it's transliterated into Thai, it will have a lorling as the final consonant. But in Thai, that lorling makes an N sound as a final consonant. So Thais will say centran, and you'll hear this a lot. You know, that where you expect like an L final consonant, Thais will say an N. So that word makes it sound something like ta lay, which means see, but in this context, on a menu, it means seafood. And it's normally a mixture of shrimp and squid. Okay, I hope that was clearer. So this is, obviously when I'm doing these walk around videos, I can't go into this much detail when I'm covering so many words, because the video will be hours long. You know, it's taken quite a while just to look at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 words in detail. If you're a brand new beginner, don't think you can skip the basics and just, you know, go out there and start reading signs. You need to go through the basics first, and then once you're happy with the basics, then you can start watching those walk around videos and putting it into practice and making sure that that you remember everything from the basic tutorials, and now you can read real words. So I'll go back to what I said before. Don't try to run before you can walk. Get all the basics out of the way first before you start going on to the more advanced stuff. This is all speculation. I don't know if this is wrong or if it's right, but the lack of questions tells me something. It says to me, you know, what I'm doing on these walk around videos is just too easy. People know this anyway, so there's no need to ask any questions. And somehow I doubt that. And I think it's more a case of it's just being like too much, so you can't even formulate a question. Let me know in the comments. Okay, thanks for watching. And I guess based on the feedback, I will then decide what kind of video I need to do next. But just if I just keep on doing these walk around videos and people don't understand the basics, basically it's a waste of time because people just won't understand them. Okay, thank you for watching.